Hey guys, how's it going? This is Obi here with Lionstrong Fitness Global, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Guys, as you know on this channel, it isn't just a general fitness channel, how many reps, how many sets you do. It's not so much about that. I like to go behind the deep, nuanced perspective when it comes to training, fitness, and a lot of the subjects that people tend to not talk about and tackle, because I do think that while discussing topics like this, we can actually get to the foundation and help people as far as why they're not seeing results exactly, and to basically provide information that's not just vague information, but actually applicable, that people can, as soon as they're done watching this video, they can apply the information immediately. So guys, in this video, we're going to talk about the real reason why most people don't see results when it comes to their training systems that they employ, but just overall together. And some people watch this video and say, well, it's easy because they don't work out and don't do this right, they don't do that right. Well, clearly something's not being done correctly, guys. That's a given. But what I'm saying is that I think people oftentimes have issues when it comes to seeing results, not just in the short term, but mind you, because anybody can see results in the short term. How people have a hard time getting the results, but most importantly, keeping them, is because people oftentimes are not employing systems that work for them, or at least they don't work for them long term. It kind of goes back to what I say about diets and why I think diets, even though they work, they don't work for most people. Okay, so I'll explain that too. So guys, a diet, a training program, these are all different systems, right? And what I mean by system is it's just a certain protocol that one is to follow, deciding on whatever program they follow. It's just that a lot of programs that you see online, they don't take into account the masses. They tend to be for niche groups, whether it be athletes, models, and influencers. Not the regular or average person. And I think that's a big disservice, because that tends to alienate people, and it gets them to think that maybe it's not for them, or maybe all hope is lost. And it's not that. I just think that oftentimes these people try to sell you things that are not sustainable, because it kind of keeps that it keeps you in that hope mindset. Well, maybe this or maybe that, and therefore you go off and spend whatever ridiculous amount of money on whatever product or system or program or whatever, for it not to work. Now, mind you, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, because I do sell programs on my website, lionstrongfitness.net. So I don't want to be a hypocrite there. But what I'm going to explain is how doing systems like I promote actually do work. Okay, so guys, for starters, most people, we're just regular people. We work a job. We have our families. We have our day-to-day priorities that we have to focus on a regular basis. So with that said, we have challenges that come up on a regular basis. You have to sit in traffic. You have to deal with whatever, something in your house breaks, or whatever situation that basically just kind of adds on top of whatever you got to do with that for that day. And what happens is, when we deal with all this stuff, even though our goal was to go to the gym for an hour a day at 5 o'clock, or to wake up really, really early and do our training, something always happens where we can't get to it, right? And the one thing I found is that people can't get to their training is because their training isn't as accessible to them as it needs to be. So if you're somebody who's really busy, and if you think you're going to go to the gym consistently 6 days a week and do your workout, even though it's doable, right, and it may not be difficult per se to do, the reality is that it can be challenging when a lot of factors come into play which keep you from going. And I'm sure you guys can understand whatever factors that may be, but the point is, you have to go out of your way so much to get what you need, right? Or let's just say you're somebody who spends a lot of time at the office. You work a sales job, you have a managerial position, you have you're in charge of other people, and that tends to eat up a lot of your energy, a lot of your time. And I find that, once again, because of all those responsibilities, you can't get to where you need to get to, which is the area to train, or the gym, or whatever, or, just the idea of making time for something when you're just mentally drained, right? So these are just examples of why things don't work for people. And again, if you're someone who's dedicated to your work, dedicated to your family, it doesn't mean that you're lazy because you're not doing your training. It just means that, it may not be a priority to you for a lot of the factors that I described. And I'm saying that from experience because I've come to notice that, and even myself, I was somebody that would train people in person. And despite me coming to them and traveling to where they are, instead of them having to meet me at the gym, I simply would just travel to where they live, no matter how far they live. But what I notice is, even though I'm accommodating them by going to them, they'll still cancel. They'll still have things pop up, even though in my head, I'm making life easy for them by going to them, right? I'm acting as a concierge of some sorts. But the reality is, life always pops up. So that's why I think, creating what's called my Lionstrong Fusion training systems, which you guys can check it out. It's on my website, lionstrongfitness.net/fusion. You can see all the training programs that I create and that I provide and service the world with. I find that was the best option, or doing systems like that, because of the number of reasons that I'm going to talk about. Well, I think anything that doesn't confine you to one location is what's advantageous. In other words, it doesn't matter if you're in Asia. I have people who, who have worked with, and people who get my stuff from all over the world: Africa, Europe, here in North America, South America. People from all over buy my programs, and that's a very comforting feeling, knowing that no matter where you are, you can always get that work in. But most importantly, be consistent. And on top of not being constrained to any physical location, it's also nice knowing that people from all parts of the world all have access to what my programs are based on, which are just using dumbbells. I've had people tell me that you can get pretty good results not using dumbbells, and that's true. When you step inside a gym, technically, everything in that gym will deliver results for you. Hence why it's there. It's training equipment, for crying out loud. But the issue, guys, is not so much the variety. It's finding a few things that you can do all the time, no matter the situation. So unlike that lat pull down, or unlike that treadmill at the gym, you can't put it in your suitcase. You can't put it in your car. You can't put it in the back of your truck. You can't commute with it. So also, when you go to like a hotel, or if you go to any type of vacation spot, right, you're more likely not going to find, or I'm sure you will find it, but you won't. You can bet that you're not going to come across it as often compared to having dumbbells. If you stayed in as many hotels and traveled as much as I've traveled, every hotel, guys, I haven't come across one that doesn't have dumbbells. Usually they're between 10 to 50 pounds, but nonetheless they have them. So not only are you not restricted to location, but as far as the equipment that's needed to do the training, you have that as well. And it's also great that you're not confined to a particular time to do the training. If you're somebody who gets up early, goes to bed late, vice versa, you have unpredictable days. And that's another reason why meeting with clients can be difficult, because of the ever-evolving schedules. It's nice knowing that no matter what your day looks like, you can still get your training in, because all you have to do, and for those understand this watching this video, I want to say appreciate you guys for getting my programs. I really love it. But anyone will tell you that has got my programs, they're downloadable. As soon as you purchase it from my website, from the store, it appears on your phone as a PDF with clickable links to my secondary YouTube channel, which provides all these demonstrations on how to do every movement. And it's nice because it's, just imagine, time to work out, you got 15-20 minutes of downtime, pull out your phone, pull up the workout, and you can just get right to it. It's amazing, guys. Easy to follow. Workouts are high powered, they're amazing. So it's not something, so just to recap, it's not just something that can be done anywhere, anytime, doesn't require much equipment, but also too, it's in a very accessible form, which is on your phone. Once you have it, it's there forever. Um, and I think, you know, by taking all that into account, this solves the problems and satisfies the frustrations that, a lot of people have. A lot of people just, don't have a lot of time. They don't have a lot of flexibility, availability. Um, and also, simply put, most people just don't want to go to the gym, which is nothing wrong with that. So how do we bridge the gap, and how do we have people meet in the middle? I think it's important to create something to where people are not limited by location, by equipment, and just having overall access. And I think once you have that, it tends to build that confidence, and it tends to make people feel pretty good about getting their stuff done. And the last thing, guys, the fact that you have to make sure that your training doesn't take you all day. As anybody who's been training, whether you're a novice, intermediate, or advanced, the one thing that we used to do a lot, or at least I used to train for hours a day, guys, because I used to think more was better. I used to think the more I destroyed my body, the more I pull my body apart, the better my results. And that may have worked for a short time, but as you get stronger, you start to develop recovery issues. You start to get injuries, and you start to just not feel good. And now, like, if you're getting injured, you can't recover. Now you can't train consistently, and this defeats the whole purpose of progressing. So I find that the sweet spot is when you can keep your workouts under a half hour, because from a physical standpoint, if you can get a lot of volume in, reduce those rest times, really focus on maximal effort, you'd be surprised that 30 minutes is plenty of time. But mentally, you understand that even on the days that you're not feeling the best, you're just dragging that day, you're like, oh man, I'm tired, I came home, I gotta do this and do this. The fact that mentally you know that your workout only takes a half hour is another thing that also inspires you to do it as well. You're more susceptible to just say to yourself, you know what, let's just get this out of the way, because it's only 30 minutes. So I think that if you take a perfect storm, as we talked about in this video, and you put together, that's the key to making something that's sustainable. And not like the typical program where they basically have you use all this special equipment. You got to use a Smith machine, a barbell, a kettlebell, all this stuff. Why not keep it simple and only subject the training to one piece of equipment or a set of them, just dumbbells? If you just have one set of dumbbells, that's fine. If you have 20 pairs of dumbbells, that's great too. The point is, guys, as long as you have something like that, 30 minutes of time, you have some space, and you have a phone to where you can access the training, that's the key, guys. That's the key to really being successful. With that said, guys, I just wanted to share that with you on the subject of this video, which is why most people don't get results. As you can understand, it's a multifaceted issue. It's not a singular, oh, they're not training hard enough. People always say that crap. There's more to it. And I think that once people can address those issues, that's what's gonna help you really get the ball moving. And guys, like I talked about, a great way to do that is to check out on the description, you check out my Lionstrong Fusion training series, guys. At the moment, I have levels 1 through 5 out right now. So basically the difficulty increases, as you get into the higher levels. For those who are wanting to get started in the series, I highly recommend you get the level 1 program. It's an AM PM program where you get a workout under 20 minutes in the morning and also under 20 minutes at night. It's great because it teaches people to really focus on movement, but don't get me wrong, those workouts are tough, but they're awesome though. Yeah, guys, make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys like the video. This is Obi with Lionstrong Fitness Global. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more information, more content. And guys, I'm also on TikTok and Instagram. Both are at Lionstrong Fitness Global. I put a lot of heat on there, guys. Make sure you guys check that out. Have a good day. Bye.